Greetings. This is James Gillen with World Puja. I've got a great show today. I just got back from Hawaii, pretty refreshed, but it was a lot of work on there. We did some amazing things at the Earth Transformation Conference and had an amazing event there. But I've got Carla Rueckert on the show today, and there's so many areas we can go into this show. I'm going to do shorten her bio because I have so much I want to talk about, but she was hired by Don Elkins to do paranormal research. They formally created L&L Research in 1970, Elkins, and she wrote The Crucifixion of Esmeralda Sweetwater together. Carla's other books include A Channeling Handbook, Wanderer's Handbook, Book of Days, Living the Law of One, 101, and Carla served as a vocal channel since 1974 and was the instrument for the 5 The Law of One books. Carla continues to channel and offers personal counseling and channeling sessions. She presently lives in Louisville, Kentucky, and with her husband, Jim. Wonderful name there. But anyway, Carla, are you with us?
I am.
Hey, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, it's a real pleasure. I taught at the Earth Transformation Conference in last year.
Oh, great.
Aren't they wonderful people and a wonderful group? I really enjoyed being there.
Oh, yeah. Michael and Angelica have been up here to the ranch and had some major experiences and sightings and contacts with the ultradimensionals here. And it was really fun to be with them again and see their growth. Right? Both of them have since the last time I saw them was about 3 years ago. And, you know, they didn't even seem like the same people. They were so lit up and had undergone some major transformations. Yeah, I think Brazzo might have had something to do that, but anyway.
It could be.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful area to be in, isn't it? Where you see so many people waking up and taking hold and getting a grip and living life for the first time, just completely alive, completely conscious. And you know that the things that you've done over the years have had the opportunity at least to be part of that, and it's just a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, no, you've been at it for quite some time and have really opened people's eyes to the challenge of Ra and the Law of One. And I've been following that quite a while ago, but it almost seems like another lifetime ago or something because things have grown so far.
Yeah.
Is there one thing I've noticed that you took a little bit of a sabbatical for a little while, didn't you? And then you're guided to get back out on the circuit and start speaking again, or?
Really, I let it happen. I've never tried to publicize our work, figuring that if I'm really lucky, I'm going to get famous right after I die.
Yeah.
That would be, entirely fine with me because it's time-consuming to be well-known. And I think that I'm leaving a good paper trail of what I think and how I feel. I actually haven't ever taken a sabbatical or laid back except for reasons of health. My health has always been frail, and as I get older, it's easier to slip off of the razor's edge of health. And so there have been, whole years that I've had to take out and recover from difficult surgeries and things like that, and that happened to me just this last year. But then again, in this last year, we had a lot of publication from L&L Research, which is our nonprofit that Don and I started, as you said, in 1970. And I just feel so lucky. I mean, there was some work that I'd done with another channel, for instance. Barbara Brodsky is a channel for Aaron, and I have channeled Kuo ever since Don died, and we stopped doing the Ra sessions in 84. Almost immediately after that, I started receiving a new contact, those of Kuo. It's a group principle made up of the Ra group and 2 other social memory complexes, so-called, just a bunch of people that think so much alike that they can speak as one being. And 2 of those, one from the density of wisdom, one from the density of love. So that whole principle is named Kuo. And Kuo and Barbara's contact, Aaron, who is a Buddhist master, had a wonderful conversation over 9 weekends. Barbara would drive down from Michigan, and we would host a question and answer session, a conversation over that weekend with our 2 channels talking on the same subjects. So that material had lain in manuscript form for years, and I was in Kona last year and found a wonderful lady named Suzanne Taylor there who wanted to tell her nephew about our book, and he happened to be one of the leaders at North Atlantic Publishing. So I wrote Ba, and I said, "You're not going to believe this, but I think we're finally going to get that thing published." And she said, "Well, as a matter of fact, we've had a nibble." She said, "North Atlantic Publishers is publishing this one book of mine, and they asked if there was another book that was like Conversations with Aaron, where they could ask questions." She said, "Well, as it happens, we have Conversations with Aaron and Kuo." So it was like in 1 week that synchronicity happened, and by golly, North Atlantic is publishing the Aaron Kuo dialogues in this next year in summer or fall of 2011. So even though I've taken time out, in this case I had 8 vertebrae in my neck fused this last March, and it was a while before I was sitting up, I'll tell you. But in the midst of all that, that happened, and a couple of other things got published that had been sort of hanging fire for a while. So it looks as though I was very busy this year. Mostly I was very busy keeping up my tuning so that I was a positive note in the harmonic chord of the tribe of humankind. It was a lot of my work this year. But no, I've been really steady. And just, holding the public meetings and putting the channelings from them up on our website, which is llresearch.org, and just trying to live this second life. You mentioned that it seems like another life when the Law of One first came out. Sometimes it's called the raw material, James, but
yes,
the actual title of it is The Law of One, books 1 through 5. And it just seems like people keep discovering the book. It is forever fresh. It's one of those things that will never get old, because the content of the book will be as important in 10,000 years as it is now. So that sort of helps.
I did that. The books that I wrote, the information in there, it's interesting. People open it up and they go, "When did you write these?" And I said, in 1982. And they go, "God, everything that you've written in here is happening now." And I said, "Well, it's like when I wrote it, I thought I was nuts, So
you were just a little ahead of your time.
But it's unfolding now. The information, I'm really curious. I know a lot of the listeners are very curious about. There's so much information about coming out about 2012 and about the splitting of worlds and different timelines and things of that nature. And sometimes I feel like I have a foot in 3 different camps at once, watching all these different realities unfolding. And I'm really curious what they have to say about the next couple of years, the next 2 or 3 years, and maybe what they're saying is going to happen.
Well, what they're saying is going to happen is a little bit different from a lot of the people who think that there is going to be some physical event at the winter solstice of 2012, where one world ends, another begins, and that actually, I believe, is going to be a little bit like Y2K. It's going to be a lot of fuss over nothing as far as physically. I think it's a metaphysical event, and this is really hard for people to grasp unless they've been working with energy. We all work with energy all the time, but we just don't realize that we're doing it. Our physical bodies and our emotional, mental, electrical bodies are interpenetrating during incarnation, and what happens before we are born is that the soul aspect, interpenetrates the physical vehicle. The way that it hooks up is called the silver cord in some disciplines, but the energy body lies right along the spine, and interpenetrates the spine, the physical spine. And we enjoy the best of both worlds, the world of eternity, the world of souls, and the world of manifestation here. And then when it's time to drop the physical vehicle, we move on in our electrical body to the next opportunity for physical manifestation. And they're just saying that at the end of this particular physical manifestation is going to be the last third density, pure third density incarnation for everybody. They're going to get a shot at graduating from the school of third density, which is also called by the Confederation the density of choice, the choice of polarity. Are you going to serve others or are you going to serve yourself? So what they say is that we're all going to get to drop the physical vehicle at the end of this particular incarnation, not on December 21st or 22nd, 2012, or anything close to that, but just when we naturally are done with this lifetime and we're ready to go on, we get to do something called walking the steps of light. And if we walk the steps of light and we stop in fourth density light, then we've graduated to fourth density. If we find fourth density light uncomfortable and find that we need to stay in third density light, well, our next incarnation will be on another planet in the density of choice, in third density, but it won't be on Earth. Earth will be fourth density positive. That's what the Confederation of Planets says, and which is what the Ra group and the Kuo group and all of those groups are part of that I channel. So that's where I'm getting this information. And it's a lovely way to think about the end of third density, the beginning of fourth, because nobody is judging anybody. That's the wonderful thing about it. It really is, in the Confederation philosophy, it's a world of love. It's a creation of love. And it's not that there is a judgmental creator that is saying, no, you didn't make it, you must do this over. And there's certainly no talk about hell. It's just a matter of you walk into the sunshine, it gets brighter and brighter, and at the point at which it becomes uncomfortable, you stop. If you stopped in third density, you just repeat the grade. If you're past that, then you're in the density of love, the fourth density. Or maybe you've walked all the way back to where you came from. A lot of people are here from elsewhere, fifth density or sixth density. So I could see people walking right back to their home density if they've managed not to get caught in the planetary madness of Earth and gotten sucked into adhering karma, with doing unloving things to people. If they just remember who they are, they're going to be fine. And so my efforts since receiving a lot of information in the 70s and 80s, I have been focused on just trying to be a voice of love, trying to encourage people to embrace that side of their natures and really wake up to who they are, because we all have so much love that is flowing through us all the time, and it's just a matter of realizing that and realizing the power that we have to direct that incredible love that flows through us from the Creator to whatever hopes and dreams that we have for service.
That's one of the things that I keep getting over and over again, and especially connecting with some of the Pleiadians. They keep talking about, God is love. It's a frequency in the force. It's pressing hard on the earth right now. There's a major awakening going, and they said it's a healing force. It's not here to punish or judge or anything else. It's an incredible consciousness and energy, a healing force, and some will partake of it and some won't.
That's right. Well, I think everybody, unwillingly or willingly, is experiencing I think what's happening, James, is that the light from fourth density Earth is interpenetrating third density Earth, because that light is waning. It's just about used up. And so a lot of fourth density light is interpenetrating third density right now. And it is a kind of light that has a density to it. It's a density that it's a lot of more subatomic particles. The scientists keep coming up with new subatomic particles, and they say, I don't know what it is, but it exists, and we never saw it before. Well, it's fourth density. And it's a whole different area of space. Has whole different characteristics. One of the characteristics of the photon in fourth density is that it carries an amazing amount of truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that truth hits us. And, we're in this hall of mirrors anyway because we're all one. So I'm talking to you, and you're a mirror to me, and I'm a mirror to you. And that's what happens to all of us all the time. And what we get back sometimes triggers us. And we get irritated because of what we think is out there in the other person. But what that hall of mirrors is doing is saying, there's a part of your personality that you haven't integrated yet. You haven't taken it into your daylight personality. It's still in your shadow side. You need to go find that, and you need to go heal that. And by healing that, I don't mean kill it or, make sure that you never have an evil thought again or whatever, but ask those darker energies to serve the light. Explain to them that you need their help, and you want those energies to come aboard too. And it's much more difficult for people to integrate the part of themselves that's in the shadow side than it is to ignore it. And yet, right now, at this point, people really can't ignore it. Things that they've never wanted to know about themselves are just hitting them in the face, and they're having to deal with them. So, you can interpret that as a very difficult time, and certainly there's a lot of inner work involved in integrating the shadow side. Yet at the same time, what an opportunity to integrate everything about yourself so that you're whole, and you can move into the open heart as a complete person, in love with the self, in love with the Creator, and ready to serve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a question. One of the things that I've always felt, and it's quite interesting, is that, I'm aware of many of my past lives, and, everybody will say, yeah, they were a monk and a lama and this and that, done all that, but they never talk about the lives, where they were, like when I was a Viking warrior, I hacked off heads, with a big broad axe. Mm-hmm. And, I was a road bandit, and had a woman in every canteen, and I was kind of a Robin Hood. I robbed from the rich and then spread the money out and go do it again. But I had, a lot of lifetimes, where I was a cripple and a beggar and things like that, and have done it all. And it allows me more compassion and understanding, because I know what creates a murderer or it's like, as a Viking warrior, my whole family was killed, and I just had this rage I had to get rid of and deal with. But it allows me compassion. I understand why people do what they do from all these experiences, and at the same time I think about it, like Jesus came down here, and he knew what was going to happen to him and everything else, and he wasn't happy about it, but had to walk through it. But at the same time, a lot of people say, well, he came to release our sins or whatever else. And I said, well, people were sinning before and after he died and during, and so that must not be the case, but at the same time, just being a light, you're going to attract the dark, or you're going to, if you are speaking the truth, you're going to really upset those who are, manipulating and the tyrants. You're going to be upsetting them by truly walking your talk with courage and integrity. And so I always look at that. I said, okay, now wait a second. Is this in me? On the highest level, it's all God. But on another level, there's individual truths, and they have their truths and their path. And it might be in total disagreement with your truth and your path.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's not necessarily a mirror. In a way it is, but in another way you're looking at and you're saying, well, there are people that are of a certain consciousness going in a certain direction, and you being aware of that and seeing that actually just become a threat just by being aware of their dark side or being aware of where they're heading.
I think that's entirely true. I know that when I was involved in doing the channeling for the Law of One sessions, and that was quite a few years ago, 81 through 84, I I never had a more stiff amount of resistance. And, usually the resistance is coming from somewhere within your own personality.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, it turned out to be an exterior energy from the density of wisdom, but it was negative fifth density.
Mm-hmm.
And what they wanted to do basically was to put out the light.
Yeah.
So, and this, I'm getting a lot of resistance right now, which might indicate, I don't know, that things that I've done lately, like I taught a class for the International Metaphysical University online. I just finished that just before Christmas, and there was a tremendous amount of resistance. I had to record some of those classes 4 times because of burning out so many recording devices or something about my energy. But at any rate, there's been a lot of psychic reading surrounding me lately, too. And I think what it is when you are standing close to the truth. I mean, we are all perishable, peccable, if you will, individuals. We do not have the capacity not to make errors. We will make errors. You can count on it. We're human. That's why we're here. And, we're busy making errors, and we're busy learning from them. And, we don't repeat our errors very often, but we're full of errors, and we really are. But the thing of it is, as you know, James, in all humility, there are those of us who have been given the great privilege of standing close to the light. Mm-hmm. And just being a witness to that light and serving close to that light, it casts us in a very clear, sharp shadow, so that it's very easy for negative entities who want to distract us to take pot shots. If you want to look at the pot shots of all time, you can look in the Bible at what Jesus had to go through. As soon as he decided, okay, now I'm going to walk the dusty trails of Galilee, I'm going to share my stories with people. Once he decided that he was taking it on the road, he went out in the wilderness to pray and get ready for it. And so, the Bible says, with its typical literal, this is the complete truth. And you realize, okay, it was not a complete physical truth. It was a complete, inner truth. But at any rate, he was tempted, and he said, I'll give you the world. The devil said, I'll give you the world. But, you're working for me now. And Jesus said, get thee behind me, Satan. And then he said, well, in that case, well, show me how powerful you are. Jump off of this mountain and let the angels save you. And he said, I don't do that. We don't go there. So, I mean, as soon as Jesus decided that he was going to serve in that way and do a public ministry, he was immediately distracted. They tried their best to distract him. Mm-hmm. And they were trying their best to distract him right at the crucifixion. I feel so sorry for that poor fellow Judas, who was just taken in completely by that whole political thing of, okay, there's going to be a king in Judea, and it's going to be a Jewish king, and they're going to kick the Romans out. Mm-hmm. Jesus had no interest in that, and he had to tell Peter, in the Garden of Gethsemane, put your sword down. My kingdom is not of this world. It's so hard for people to separate the physical from the metaphysical, but it has to be done. Mm-hmm. And I think that's whenever we wake up, whenever we get closer to the light, whenever we have these transformations or initiations or epiphanies, and things become clearer to us and the light becomes brighter, I think you can just about count on the fact that there will be resistance. There will be some attempt either from inside our personality or outside of it, to distract us, just to distract us, to lessen our focus so that we are no longer seeking as hard, we are no longer as devoted. And all they have to do to put out the light is distract us so that we're sitting by the side of the road instead of walking our spiritual walk.
Yeah, there's a wonderful saying. They said the closer you get to nirvana, the more the demons will rear their ugly heads,
Yeah, and it's just a matter of trying to distract you. Oh, what's that? What's that? And so you forget what you set your intention to do. Mm-hmm. I find that I often do that. By 10:30 in the morning, I set my intention when I awaken early and bid my hardworking husband goodbye for his work in keeping gardens pretty, which is what he does. And I set my intention for the day. I'm going to serve the Creator. The Creator, this is your day. I totally want to be a servant of the light and the love of the infinite Creator today. Please help me. Please inspire me. And by 10:30, I've lost it. I'm going, let's see, what was that I was supposed to do now? And I'm supposed to call this person, and I've gotten lost in the details, and I have to keep pulling myself up short. Even after all these decades of doing this work, I still have to remind myself every single day, would you please get back on your horse, Carla, and serve. Don't just, forget who you are and why you're here. Don't let that go. It seems so easy to get distracted.
Oh, yeah. It seems like we live in a world of distraction. I think it's intentional distraction. And we have, there's so much just terror and negativity on the news and these perpetuated wars. And you should be very scared. And everybody's glued to their TV sets to find out what terrorism program is happening on the planet. And it's just amazing. And, and keeping people, pretty much, in survival, basically, trying to make that buck just so they can put food on the table, and pay their mortgages. And a lot of people are even below survival. I mean, they've lost their houses and lost their jobs, and they don't know where they're going. And I've always felt that was intentional to keep people from having that quiet time. But I think in a way that's going to backfire, because when you break away from that program of being, enslaved through dependency and debt, and all of a sudden you're free, then you really do wake up. Mm-hmm. And you kind of step out of that world of materialism. Not that it's bad, it's just that, you just have to figure out if you're ensnared by it or entrapped by it. And it's really interesting. I think there's going to be a big backfire around that, because people are simplifying now, and they are moving out of the system, and they're trying to get closer to nature. And there just seems to be a big wave right now where people want to live in harmony with each other and the planet, and they're just they're waking up very fast, and they're done with the old program. As you said, this third density is losing its juice. The grid for that's pretty much collapsing. And so it seems like people are between two worlds, where the other world isn't totally here yet, but the third density is still hanging on.
Yeah, well, I think third density will hang on for hundreds of years yet, while everybody that wants to incarnates here for the work of the mixture of third and fourth density. Our readings have a lot of suggestions that we are already experiencing an influx of new wanderers from fourth density Earth, which it has happened because third density people have walked the steps of light, have gone on to fourth density, and then they get to choose what they want to do for their next incarnation. And so many of them find, as they review the incarnation past and they look to see how they want to serve now, they keep being drawn back to the earth plane, to the third density earth plane, because during third density, so many of the people here experienced disruptions in their native planet, which was not Earth, which was Mars, which was Maldek, which was Deneb, a lot of different places where third density was interrupted for one reason or another, and a lot of those people were involved in planetary or local actions which downed either a part of a continent like Atlantis